Hey, what's up, leaders? John T. Meyer here on this week's edition of Lead More Live. Not live today, pre recorded. It is Friday, December 11th, and I'm talking about goal setting today. We're almost done with 2020. Can you believe that? I mean, as wild as 2020 has been, as hard as it has been, as much as it's pushed us and stretched us and help us and forced us to reevaluate what matters and what we spend our time on and what we care about most, it's almost done. And certainly by no means in 20 days when we flip the calendar does everything go away and correct themselves, right? We still have challenges and struggles ahead. But there is some sort of relief of seeing that calendar switch to 2021 and know that the future is bright and there's light at the end of the tunnel, especially related to this global pandemic. So what I thought I would do today for the Lead More community was talk about how I set my goals. And I actually don't have new goals to tell you. I will tell you, right? I'm open, transparent person, especially with all you guys in this community. But I'm ready to embark on this process over the next week or two, next 10 days or so. And from that process, I will then have my answers for what my goals are for 2021. So what I wanted to do today was just walk through the process and show you guys how I do it when I think about the new year. I'm a big goal setting person. I really enjoy that process. And so here's what I do. So there's really three larger phases with some steps underneath each phase. So phase one is reflection. We have to know where we were before we can decide where we're going, right? We have to know, how did the year go? And obviously, quick reflection, 2020, there's a lot of feelings and emotions about how it went. But I made sure that back in March, I wasn't going to just bag the year and punt. I still had lots of goals I wanted to accomplish, things I wanted to do. And at minimum, I was going to grow and stretch myself from this challenging year. So there's two simple questions, two steps underneath reflection. What went well? What went well this year? And I asked this same question. You're going to hear me talk about categories in a little bit across different aspects of my life, right? So what went well in my relationship with Paige, my wife? What went well in my relationship with, my two daughters, Margot and Liv? What went well with Lemonly? What went well in my fitness and exercise? What went well in, my personal habits, whether it be reading or learning or things that I wanted to accomplish individually? So easy thing. What went well with those individual aspects of your life? And it's pretty obvious. The next question, what didn't go well? What did I think I was going to do that I wasn't able to? What did I plan for that either maybe wasn't a priority, or I didn't make time or space for it, or maybe the pandemic did throw things off? At least document and take inventory of what went well and what didn't go well. And this should take some time, right? When I say I'm going to be doing this over the next 10 days, I do carve out some actual time to sit down with my journal and write goals. But today I'm embarking on the process, the start of the process, because this reflection period is a little bit more fluid, a little bit more organic. I think about it when I'm laying in bed. I think about it when I'm brushing my teeth. Think about it in the shower, right? What went well? Just spending some time. And if you're a journal person, I wish I was. I need to build that habit. Go back and read the journals, or go back and look at blog posts, or go back and look at even scroll your photo camera roll in your phone to just think about 2020 and what happened. I know there's going to be a lot of things that didn't go well, but I know there are things that did go well. So now we reflect. The next phase before we set the goals is we want to spend some time thinking about who we want to be. Who, for all the members, who is the Tess that you want to be? Who is the Nick that you want to be? Who is the Brad that you want to be? Who is, the John that I want to be 12 months from now, when I can say, hey, I haven't seen you for a while. Allow me to introduce myself. Even if you know me, I want you to know a new John 12 months from now, right? And so this is all about identity and who we want to become. And so the way I start with that is I love Atomic Habits book by James Clear. And he talks a lot about how any goal should actually be driven by habits, and any habits should be based upon an identity, right? So what happens too often is people say, I'm going to run a marathon. I've run one marathon. I did it 5 years ago. I was going to do another one this year. Didn't happen. So that's something that didn't go well. You run a marathon and then you just finish. You check the box and you move on, and you didn't take time to sit and think about, the more important piece of becoming a runner, right? So, sorry, I got distracted by that Slack message there. I just closed it. So the point here is the goal is to run the marathon, but more importantly than the goal is the habit of getting into running. But to help build that habit, having the identity of being a runner, or I'm an athlete, I'm a fit person, I'm a person who goes for a run, whether it's rainy, snowy, sunny, whatever it is. It's not just when the time is right, the conditions are perfect, right? So build the identity of a runner, of a best friend, of a teacher, of an athlete, of a musician, like of a person who is always on time, of a person who sticks to their words and their commitment. Whatever the identity you need to be, establish that identity and create it. Then think about the habits of what a person who does that. So if I'm an athlete, I'm not a person who eats an entire pizza by myself on a Friday night, right? That's not what an athlete would do. So then you build the habits of that person, and then from those habits, you can accomplish the goals. Does that make sense? Dive into Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's really great. He talks about that. Again, with the who, before I get into the goals, I think a little bit high level of the themes. I love to give the year a theme, and I've done this for probably 10 years now. I'll link up my old words, but I do the words of the year. The kind of key words or themes, I write them on a sticky note. It's on my computer. You can put it on your mirror in the bathroom. The words that help kind of shape the theme of the year. I usually have goals then that connect to those words, right? So I'll show you here, like this year's words. I think this is backwards, but is motion and intention. So 2020, long before COVID, right? But before I knew what that was, in December of 19, I said, I want to be in motion next year. I meant motion physically. I want to be active, fit, get outside, move, but also in my life professionally too. I want to get things done. I want to put things in motion, like act first, figure it out later sometimes. Just get things done. So that was motion, and goals were set underneath that theme. And the other one was intention. Intention, obviously those play together nicely. Intention was about doing things that were important to me. That great adage of if it's either a no or it's a hell yes, right? If it's just a yes, sure, I'll do that, or a maybe, don't do it. It's either a no or a hell yes. So I wanted to be very intentional at how I spent my time, run a company, have 2 little girls, have personal hobbies and habits I want to accomplish. Make sure I was being very intentional about what I was going to give my time to. Got it? So those 2 key words and themes really dictate everything else from this phase on. And I can tell you in the past, I actually used to do 4 words, and you'll see some old blog posts that I link up, my 4 words of the year, and they were on my sticky note. And frankly, it just was a little too much. It became just too many to think of. If I couldn't remember and rattle them off immediately, that was too much. So 2 words simplified it for me. Remember, this is what I do. So you can change, adopt, steal, copy, edit, paste, whatever. But this is what I do. So now that we've looked back, we've reflected, we've decided who we want to be with both identities and themes, now we move into goals. And I do goals across 5 categories, try to keep it fairly simple. Those categories are personal. So me, individual, John, learning, writing thank you notes, gratitude, whatever the thing is. Personal, business, family, fitness, health, of course, and then faith / like mindfulness, mindset. Could be prayer, it could be meditation, just some sort of spiritual is probably a better word that encompasses all of that, whatever that means to you. And those are the 5 categories. So I try to then have a goal in each of the 5 categories. And this is one I guess I'm currently debating as well. In the past, I probably had 2 for each goal, each category, 2 personal, 2 business, 2 family, 2, ending up with 10 goals. It felt like a little much this year. And that's in this reflection period. Certainly COVID probably contributed to that, but I just want to really be awesome at the 5 things I want to do, and instead of just okay at 10 things. So this year I'm leaning toward just 1 goal per each category. Maybe I'll have a 6th goal, just a floater across each category. We'll see here. And so in those goals, I try to break them down. And this is where I'm a little bit more loose, right? We hear about SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, timely. I like that framework. I think it's good. I definitely think specific is good. I think measurable is really good. If there's any way you can put a number, timely is good, a date, a finish point. I like to try to break them down. So if I want to run a marathon in 2021, which is definitely going to be on there, what do I need to accomplish in quarter one, quarter two, quarter three? So I'm not just, oh shit, in August, I got to start training for a marathon. So I like SMART goals in terms of that framework to follow, but I don't necessarily feel like each goal has to have 5 ticks below it to be SMART, right? So I'm a little bit more loose on the goals. A sentence, I like action words, start them with an action word. So, a goal could be run a marathon, write 1,000 words every week, meditate for 500 minutes. Whatever the goal is, that action word, it just makes me, when you say it, when you see it, when you write it, just makes it, you're ready to jump out and get started, right? You're ready to do the thing when you can see that action word. So write them out, 1 goal per category. A couple just little pro tips here. A lot of this stuff comes from Atomic Habits. There's a concept James Clear talks about called habit stacking. It's when I do this, I also do that. Or when I see this, I also see that. Or, then I follow this. It's like the commands or the triggers. So when I brush my teeth, I step on the scale. Or when I wake up, my running shoes are next to the bed. So that's like a trigger that you see. Or when before I go to bed, I give my wife a kiss and then I say my prayers, or, whatever it is. It's that same concept, something we would teach our little kids, of these triggers. And you can stack these habits, good things upon good things, that create, maybe attack all of your goals at once. Habit tracker I use, because I love the book so much. James Clear has a journal. He does this with Baron Fig. I'll link it up. And in the back here is a habit tracker. So these goals, some of these things aren't necessarily specific goals, but like habit trackers where you have the month and the day and you can tick. So if you want to like floss your teeth every day or do 10 push-ups every day or whatever it is, some notebook, there's apps for this too, of course. And then the third idea is this concept of temptation bundling, which I think is so brilliant. It's when you can take something that maybe isn't as exciting, but you should do, and pair it with something that is a lot of fun and relaxing. So like, let's say you need to do crunches while you watch Netflix, or let's say, and I like both these things, but I often listen to books on Audible when I go for a run, right? So I'm getting exercise, but I'm also reading books. So think about ways you can, the chocolate and broccoli, right? Dip that broccoli in chocolate and it's a little bit more enjoyable. Maybe you can temptation bundle. So a couple pro tips there. So in summary, this is my framework and process for setting goals. I'm really excited as we'll get started for 2021. We're going to first reflect on, truly the most unique, challenging, strange year probably of my life so far, of the 35 I've had, and maybe ever, who knows. We're going to think about it, what went well, what didn't go well. Then really get crystal clear and dream. This is a big one. Dream here. Imagine, think big, think 10x. Don't think 10% improvement, think 10 times improvement. Who do you want to be? What's the identity of the person you want to be? What does John Meyer look like on December 31st of 2021, 12 months from now? Set those words of the year. That's my theme, as if I'm not going to, but as if I were going to tattoo them on my body. What are the themes for the year? And then we get into goals in the 5 categories of personal, business, family, fitness, faith, spiritual. So that is my habit process. I wanted to explain that here this way, on a Lead More Live recorded session, a framework here. And next Friday, December 18th, we're going to do the December office hours a little bit later in the month / a holiday happy hour. So come join us next Friday. We can ask questions. We can talk about this if we want, but I also just want to say hi. I just want people to meet each other, come live on Zoom, bring a beverage of your choice if you want, or don't, whatever sounds good. Just a little Zoom call to meet some people that I really care about. This community has meant a lot to me this year. And I thank you all for joining it. I've got to learn and experiment and tinker from a business standpoint, but also just really love meeting I've made some great connections already, and I hope you have too. That's definitely the goal and the point. So thank you, leaders. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll see you online.